I got thrown up on for the first time ever. Yeah, this morning. That was cool. I didn't really, I've never really thought about like, oh, if that happens, like how would I react? I just never thought I'd get thrown up on by anybody. So that's cool. I laughed a little bit and smiled and was happy. There was other circumstances around that, but basically the 3-year-old was feeling pretty sick yesterday and today, and just like vomiting up fluids. So yeah, but I hung out with her for a couple hours this morning, and she fell asleep, and then she woke up. She was a little cranky, and so we had some hugs, and she was sitting on my lap and vomited all over my shirt and a little bit on my pants. Good thing for me though, I was in like dirty clothes already. This morning I woke up and it was freezing in my house, or at least in the basement, which is normally not the case. So yeah, apparently our heater just went out at some point in the night. Like my roommate said that he had his like space heater on. I don't have a space heater at the house, I have one at the studio. But yeah, he said he had a space heater on and he was cold, and he's like, oh, I guess that explains it. Because I texted him being like, yo, our heater's out. The thermostat said that it was 18 degrees and like dropping, but it was set to 22 degrees. And then I went to have a shower and it was freezing water. Like, yeah, I would turn on the hot water and it was just freezing cold. So anyway, yeah, this morning when I went over there, I had on dirty clothes and I hadn't showered yet. So I guess that was okay. But yeah, like the whole half of my shirt was just wet, soaking wet. It was just like water. Well, apple juice and ginger ale too, probably. Anyway, so yeah, that was my story about that, about getting thrown up on and stuff. So yeah, that was cool. That was the first. I don't know, people always get like babies throwing up on them, but I thought that was like a, I mean, that's different. This is the context that she's sick, right? It's not because just like, yeah, babies just spit up and that happens, because this isn't the same thing. Anyway, I'm gonna shut up my face now. Shut up my face! Oh, just kidding. I also cried a little bit today, like 2 or 3 tears, 2.5 tears, when she was dancing to Michael Jackson. So, cool, bye. Talking about real stuff, so this is me looking real. It is, what is it? 12:45, noon 45, and I'm still dressed in the way that I'm normally dressed when I am at home before I leave the house, or when I know I'm staying for the rest of the evening. Anyway, I forgot what I was saying. Cool. Oh yeah, so I didn't get a call for work this morning, and I was really, last night I was like, I was prepared to go to bed on time. I was like ready. I could have done it. It was all up to me, and I still went to bed late. I just got like stuck in a little bit of an anxiety loop, and then just got stuck on my phone, and I had like this article from the New Yorker that I wanted to finish, and I have this thing where I don't look at how long articles are. I'm like, hey, I started this article, and I'm going to finish this article. And sometimes New Yorker articles, especially if it's like the cover article and stuff, they could be like 15, 20 pages long, of like small type magazine writing, with not many pictures or ads or anything like that. So anyway, I spent way too long just trying to finish that as well. Blah 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 blah. I decided, you know what? I don't know if I don't have work yet, so I'm just gonna turn my alarms right off. See how long I sleep for. I never got a call like to wake me for work. There was nothing on the work board when I went to bed, and there was nothing when I woke up. So I was like, hey, I guess I got to sleep in a little bit, and that's just the way the day shook out, and whatever. Not a great setup for success for me, because I should be getting up, showering, getting ready. If I get a call for work, I can just go. Because if I let a call wake me, I generally, it's 50-50 whether or not I'm going to have enough time to actually get ready and arrive at the school on time. It just depends on when the call comes. It's completely random, for me anyway. When the calls get put through, when the school day starts, etc. But also, if I was prepared and ready to go and it was 8 o'clock and I hadn't received a call, I would just leave the house and go to the studio and whatever. Or, I could go for a bike ride and then have a shower again, but them's the breaks, or whatever. I would be very prepared for my day, and I just didn't do that. And so I was thinking, like, oh man, like, it's kind of a bummer, but I'm going to make the most of this. And then I started doing computer stuff, and then I was like, uploading a video, and this thing and that thing, and a bunch of stuff, whatever, right? Like, I was being productive, but sometimes I feel really unproductive if I don't leave the house, because I'm like, man, I want to go to the studio. Like, I have a day in the middle of the week. Holy crap, like, I could just go to the studio and just, like, I had my lunch already made. I could just go there until, 3 o'clock. And that would be amazing. And I did not do that. And I decided, it was probably like an hour ago when I realized I'm not going to do that. I got things set up here so that I can record a video that's not this one, but record a conversation here, because I just find like all of my vlogs now are in the studio because I'm like almost never home when my roommate's not home. And I just wanted to change in setting and stuff, so I was like, okay, I'll record a video while I'm home. But I mean, that's one more video I don't have to record later, sure. And if I went to the studio, I probably would have recorded it there, so same thing. But I'm not going to get any painting done today, and I really wanted to because I set myself up for that yesterday, and just didn't make it in today. Anyway, but I was thinking about this thing where it sounds really lame because it's like, no bad days, or something like that. But I mean, I can be constructive every day. I can make every day productive. Obviously, the obvious thing is that I have to change my mode of thinking and be like, no, this was a positive, because I did get a bunch of stuff done at home. No, it was not the studio. Yes, I would rather be there and feel relaxed and whatever. I still feel a little anxious, probably because I've been at home too long. But I got a bunch of things done, and I mean, for the first time in I don't know how many months and months and months and months, if not longer than months, I did some stretches. Like, I have like a workout routine that I just didn't do, especially when I was biking all the time in the summer. I just wasn't doing any stretches. I wasn't doing any other exercises. So I started today on doing some stretches, and I was like, oh wow, like that was good. Like, I'm glad I did that. And I wouldn't have been able to do that if I didn't have the time, and I chose to be productive in that sense. So I mean, it's all down to choices. There's so many different priorities, and there's so many different choices, and what I need to do to make certain things a priority. And I don't know, I don't want to bum myself out by being like, yeah, but I should have done this, or I should have done that, because I feel a lot of pressure recently too, financial pressure. Now, why I'm getting in anxiety loops is because I believe that my roommate is leaving at the end of April, from what I recall, and that just puts me in a position. I'm not 100% sure what position it's going to put me in, honestly, because of the ambiguity of the conversations I've had with my landlord. But anyway, I get in. Yeah, it's either way. It's not like a fun position to be in. So my lease is not up at the same time as his, and so I got to figure something out. Anyway, and I just think of like, man, I should go to the studio and try to make a painting that will make money. That's pressure that's been on me too. Is like, I need to try and sell stuff I already have. I mean, I've got paintings in 2 local shops, and so far, neither have produced a sale. And there's like 5 paintings in each shop, I think, and I've got a whole bunch more paintings at the studio, and I'm trying to advertise those through buy and sell pages and on Kijiji and whatever, and it's very few and far between I ever get bites on those, or even purchases, even more rare. And I have plenty of things I want to paint, and then I get pressure on me from just my situation, being like, yeah, I really want to paint this one piece, I highly doubt it'll sell, I'll always put it for sale, but you never know. And then it's also just like, yeah, but I could try to paint something really pretty that someone might want to buy. Something that I would still make. It's not like a sellout type, like, I would never make this thing and I'm just going to make it because people love it. No, it's something I would normally make, but maybe I wasn't in the mood for it that day specifically, or I forced myself to be in that mood, or like I just didn't chase down something else that would take longer and be way more personal and less saleable. I don't know, but also, I mean, I've got to sit down and put everything on Etsy still. It takes like 10 minutes per piece to put something on there. It's ridiculously long of a process. I had to weigh everything. Anyway, I want to try and be way more positive and focus on all the positive things I did that day. These are obvious things that I just don't do in my practice on a daily practice. I need to get back into meditating more too. I've mentioned this every couple of weeks and haven't done it. Today would be a good day to do that for like 5-10 minutes, and I'm going to. And I have a hard time saying I'm going to because I haven't done it yet. And I want to, and I'm committing to doing it. I just haven't done it yet. So let's hope I actually follow through with that. Anyway, well, Felix, there we go. Is he here every day?
He usually comes with me every day, unless I take him to dog daycare.
Yeah.
One day I hope I'm going to get another dog, and then they can stay home together and amuse each other.
Yeah. Okay. See you later.
Have a good day.
You too. Second day in a row of not working. I did not leave the house as early as I wanted to, but I left earlier than yesterday. I am going to go to the studio, parked my car. Now I am headed to get some lunch, grab a pita. I had to go into Round Street there because I have some paintings up there, and I forgot to document what I priced them at because I was going to make a post that was advertising like, hey, I've got these paintings at Round Street here, you should go check them out. And I was like, wait, how much is this painting again? And I got to see a cute Puppers, so that was tight. And I'm going to walk over to Showcase Comics as well. I was thinking about going on a hike today. Everything is so wet that I decided, you know what, first, let's just do baby steps anyway. I went on a very baby bike ride. I did that for the first time in months. Haven't gone on a hike in so long, it's ridiculous. I'll just walk down to Showcase and call that a day, and do some stretches tonight again, and get back into the habit of getting some physical exercise in my life. If I was smart, I would have recorded the call, but I wasn't thinking about it at the time, and I kind of just did it on a whim because it's something that's been in the back of my mind forever. But I applied to Edmonton Public Schools back in, I think, May, if not even earlier, possibly April, but I think it was about May of 2019. I've applied to them before, and something happened where somebody lost my application and it expired. They were supposed to call me and they didn't, and blah, 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 like 2 years ago. And then I didn't feel the need to apply again after, no, it was like 3 years ago, 4 years ago that I applied originally. And then a bunch of stuff happened, and then I didn't feel the need to stay on top of it because I had this contract. I didn't know where it was going to go. And then, yeah, so the thing expired, whatever. I had to reapply. I'd never been accepted or denied before. It was just somebody lost my stuff, and then when I tried to get it found, they said it was expired, and I had to start all over again. So I did that last May. It is now January, mid-January, and I phone every couple of months, and I'm like, hey, so what's the status of my application? And they say it hasn't gotten looked at yet. So the only clarification I have on that right now is that it hasn't gotten looked at because my major is art, and they don't need any art teachers. And it's like, yeah, I understand the change in government made it so that they don't need like any teachers, period, because they've been firing people left and right, really. But first of all, my major is art. My minor is English. There's a lot more need for English teachers than there are for art teachers. There's way more of those jobs, and I am capable of teaching English as well as other subjects. But if we just stick to art and English, fine. But the other dumb thing is that so they're not going to screen my application until there's a need for art teachers. So at that time they'll screen it, and at that time they might say, yeah, no thanks, we don't want you. Rather than screening it, deciding right away whether they want it or not, and then if they do want me but they don't have a job for me, they just retain that application like they used to. But now they're just not even going to put the work into screening them. And it's been like, it's been the better part of a year. It's ridiculous. So that's the biggest school district employer in the province that has, the potential of jobs for me, like Edmonton being, or I mean, maybe Calgary is. I actually don't know the population numbers with the school districts and the surrounding areas and the suburbs of whatever. If it's not the biggest one, it's the second biggest one in the province. So it's like school district. So anyway, yeah, that's update on that, which is really a non-update, and it sucks and stress. I don't know if you're going to be able to see this piece that well. I'm trying to get it from this angle because if it's straight on, I'm getting a lot of light, and it's really hard to actually see the piece the way that it is. I'm still having a hard time deciding whether or not it's done. You can see some of my research and reference photos here. Those are years old. I think part of this is going to inspire some discussion on the Artist Life podcast about like knowing when a piece is done and maybe some other things. Because I didn't do a lot of planning, which I almost never do. But the thing is, usually with abstract, there's no planning I can do. However, when it comes to portraits and stuff like that, I usually have way more. I mean, not way more, but I usually have planned things more. I usually start with a title. That was the same in this case. I am the beast I worship, which is a line from a Death Grips song. And I just thought, I had this rolling around in my head for months and months, ever since I heard that line. But I didn't really think about what I wanted it to visually look like. So I was like, self-portrait, and that was it. And then I kind of thought about black, so I one day came in and just spray painted the whole thing black. And then after that, I was like, I don't know what to do. And then And then I had these old photos of me, and some of them are more aggressive. So if I have that beast portion, I mean, that makes sense. And then I just started like painting. I didn't draw a preliminary drawing first, which I always do for a portrait. I was like, it doesn't matter if it's messy and it's a little bit off because I want the energy there. And then I think I accomplished that, kind of. But I was so in the moment and I was really feeling it. But I was also listening to Death Grips, which is like, I don't know how to explain to you what that is like, but you should go check some out and you'll maybe know. But it's very primal and made me feel super weird, and I was really feeling it and I thought I was doing a good job. And that's the thing with art, is that sometimes you think you're doing really, like, the process of creating feels so good that what you're doing you assume is good, even though you take a step back later and it doesn't look that great. It's kind of like if you really suck at singing, like me, but you're singing a song and just belting it out and it's like an amazing song and makes you feel a certain kind of way and you're super into it, you think you sound good too, and you don't. I mean, if you're horrible at singing, you don't, right? Anyway, I'm still having trouble whether or not to call this done, because this is one of those ones I just like, I almost wanted to start all over again. Yeah, and by start all over again, I don't even know what that means. Like, I don't even know what I would do. I think I resolved a lot of issues that it had, but I still don't know. And it's really rare that I'm in that place where I don't know. That's because portraits and human figures, I plan a little more than this. I mean, I didn't think of colors other than black when I was doing this either. And I just, like, in the middle of, this is all stuff from yesterday, I was like, I grabbed some oil pastels and started drawing with those, and like, I wasn't going to use spray paint, but I did a little of that rather than just acrylic, and like, I don't know. I think it's got a certain energy to it. I think it has something to it that makes sense. But for some reason, when I look at it as a finished piece, I'm still just like unsure. Anyway, that's me talking about a messed up portrait, self-portrait. So as I'm putting a finish on this, I think I finally realized in a way that I can express it with words correctly why this is so difficult for me to call finished and what's bothering me about it. Bothering me not to the extent that it's not finished or that I'm not going to call it finished, but it lacks meaning, and I thought it had meaning. I Am the Beast I Worship has meaning. It means something to me. However, if I'm painting an abstract, there's meaning in the process. There's, again, it could be the same thing, a line from a song, and there's meaning in the color and everything else and the texture, and it has that energy and whatever else. I don't think I've ever done a figure or a human figure or something that had meaning in the process, because this is usually the portraits and stuff I do are more aesthetic than they are meaningful. And there's some that I did that were meaningful, that were like human figure things that had to deal with like the subject of consent and stuff like that back in university. But those weren't very like process driven. It was like, hey, I want to create this thing. I want it to look like this. The pose was very important and the title was important, but the process of putting it on there wasn't a huge thing. Whereas with abstracts, it's all a process. What I'm feeling, what I'm trying to put down doesn't have an end product that I can see in my mind's eye. Neither did this. So this kind of, in a way, is like, it kind of felt like it had the same energy as an abstract painting to me, except that I knew it had to be a figure. I knew that I had to get certain things going on in my face. I wanted this hand to look a certain way. But I didn't do any like real planning, like preliminary drawings or thinking about the colors in advance, and I wanted it to have this energy. But the energy is kind of ambiguous too, because I just didn't have enough of a thing. I don't know. It's really just this raw expression in a way that I've never really done it before, because usually my raw expressions, again, are abstract. And I'm very okay with the outcome, and it's just, that's my thing, is making these abstracts. Messy figures are not. Or that's not even true. I have like a portrait that I have, it's called BTS. But it's just supposed to be like, it's really about the energy, and technically there's a portrait in there. It's a very generic, like, face. And it's not any member's face, it's supposed to be like just a representation of all of them. And it's really about the color more than the face, and like it could have just been an abstract painting, really. But it has like a very loose face in there, much looser than this one. I don't have that painting in here, otherwise I'd show you. It's somewhere else. But yeah, I think that is really why I'm having a difficult time with looking at this and being like, oh wow, look at this finished piece, and this is how I feel about. I don't know. It was just an expression in that moment, but it wasn't a very aesthetic one. Because I can make art about art, I can do design and stuff. This just fell into a new category for me that I don't really know what to call it. Because it wasn't just art, it's not art about art, it's not design based. I am expressing something, had a lot of energy, but it's just not in a box that I have. I guess that's a good thing. I guess it's pushing, to be positive about it, it's pushing me in a new direction. Maybe it's just going to stay with this one piece and I'll never go in that direction again, I don't know. But it's definitely not something that I have done before. A couple things to say before I wrap up the vlog here in the outro. I only have, as of right now, another conversation. I need to edit an art process video, and I'm hoping to record a review today. I don't know what's going to get up before the vlog actually goes out, before you see this. I'm hoping to record that review today, which is a comprehensive Metallica discography review. I have all the notes written. I got 4 pages of notes, but at least there is a conversation up. That art process video, I'm fairly sure, will be up by this time. Also on Artist Life Podcast, in a couple weeks, I'm going to be having my first interview, so that'll be out soon. And I hope to continue to line up interviews and maybe do 50-50, just solo interview kind of format. I got really emotional this morning. Randy's sick, and has been, on and off sick for the past week and a half. But yesterday, went home from work, and then I kind of came over and figured things out and picked up kids and stuff like that. It wasn't the best time last night doing that. Things just didn't work out super well. It was beneficial for her, for me to do that, but it wasn't the easiest time. She still was not feeling well this morning, and then I woke up, an hour and 15 minutes early by accident, well, because I had to use the washroom, but way before my alarm. And I saw that she had just texted me 5 minutes before, saying, I'm still not feeling good. If you see this, I'll be prepared to go take the kids in. I'm not going to work, but whatever. And I saw it, and I was like, hey, let's do this or whatever. I knew I had time. I'm sitting here in the parking lot at Colehurst High School, because that's where I'm subbing this morning. And I have time enough to record this, right? So, anyway, but yeah, I picked up the kids as I was dropping off the small one. And we were just listening to Michael Jackson on the way. And I don't know, I just got really, she just was the quietest she's ever been. Ever, unless she's been asleep. So things went very well. Things went perfect. Timing was good. Traffic was good. She didn't freak out about anything, which it's a complete gamble. I haven't talked about the kids that much yet, but anyway, it was just wonderful. And she didn't, I'm saying things like they should be obvious to you, but they're not. So, we listen to Michael Jackson, but music is always a struggle, because if we listen to something, she wants something else. She wants, she has very, very particular favorite songs, whether it's Lady Gaga or Michael Jackson or whoever, and she doesn't really open up very often to new music, and she usually complains and whines and cries and screams sometimes if she doesn't get, her way anytime, but if she doesn't get the song that she wants. But this time, we listened to 3 songs in a row, she didn't know any of them, and she was just content. And then, I was just really emotional and sort of tearing up a little bit, just because I was oh, things went so well. I got her inside the daycare, she was fine, everything was beautiful and magical and wonderful. And I was driving away, I also just realized, man, there was one time where I was on the couch and she was dancing to Thriller, to Michael Jackson's Thriller, the music video, but she was dancing with it, and I started tearing up a little bit. And I think I didn't recognize all the reasons why then, and maybe I'm just tying it in retrospect. But I think, Michael Jackson is the first musical artist that I ever liked, that I genuinely liked, and it was when I was a kid, and I've carried that enjoyment of his music on, and it just became this weird thing. I just realized today that maybe there's this part of me that was yo, you're passing something on, something that I didn't think I would do, because I didn't think I was going to have kids, and even if it's just that one song or whatever, maybe she never grows a love for Michael Jackson or really recognizes the magic of Michael Jackson. That is the magic of Michael Jackson, though, right there. The fact that there's a 3-year-old dancing to Thriller, that's the magic of Michael Jackson right there. So, I don't know, it just became this thing where I guess I just passed this thing on,
that was like this very tangible, like I could see it right in front of my eyes, and it just became this beautiful, wonderful thing. And last note, I mean, the outro is really long today, but the last thing I have to say, as I was coming into Colehurst, I'm already like feeling emotional and stuff. Okay, when I first started subbing like 3 years ago, I went and dropped off business cards at a bunch of places. And one of them was Colehurst because it's in the Palliser School District and I was approved for them. And on the way into town, on the way to the school, like the first few blocks of the main drag of town, there is a huge Confederate flag in the living room window of a house. Can't miss it. And I was like, yikes, this is where I'm going? This is Colehurst? This is, because I'd never been here before? And I went to the school, I dropped off my business card, never heard from them. Never got a single call here, never got requested, nothing. Ever. For the first, like, whatever time I was subbing. Then I got on my contract and whatever. And then just, you know, it hasn't been quite a year yet, but it was close to last year, I started getting one call here, and, like, then I got requested by that person over and over and over again, and that's why I'm here today. And I was thinking today, as I passed that Confederate flag, that just my presence here alone, by representation of diversity and color, is beneficial. And I was thinking it's beneficial to the very few students of color that are here, but it's beneficial to all the Caucasian students too. It's beneficial for them to see diversity, see a person of color. I know that Confederate flag is not the mentality of every single person who lives here. I understand that. I'm not trying to put like a blanket of racism over this whole town. But we're in southern Alberta. It's there. Like, I'm sure that's not the only person that feels this way in this town, you know? Or doesn't have an understanding of really what they're expressing, however you want to call it. But I was just thinking of that. Like, it's not because like I'm a good sub or whatever else, but just my representation here and being like a decent human being and being a person of color. Like I said, there's incredibly few people or students of color here at the school. I don't think there's any people of color on staff at all. So I'm the only adult that is a person of color in this school. And I think that's important. And I don't know. That was my thought when I was passing that Confederate flag today. That was like, I get requested here all the time now, and now it's starting to be from more than one teacher, and I think that's a good thing, because I think that these students need that. Anyway, that's it for the vlog this week. We'll see you on another time.